boxing.
Okay, welcome back to Boxing on the Edge. Today we're going to be covering the double jab. I'm going to go over exactly how to throw it. I'm going to talk about why it's used and how to use it properly. I'm going to go over the variations of the double jab, although there is one main classic version of the double jab. There are different ways to throw it. I'm going to cover that. And I'm going to talk about some mistakes that a lot of beginners do make that you can correct today. So stay tuned. Let's go. Okay, the double jab. Primarily it's used to push your opponent back. It's used to blind your opponent and to set up bigger punches. You can gain real estate. You can put your opponent in the direction that you want them to go so you can set up the bigger punches too. You can use it to blind your opponent. Throwing two jabs out there can really distract your opponent, whether it's a decoy shot or generally trying to hit your opponent and throw it in the middle, in front of their eyes, and then come in with a different shot behind it. It should be delivered with a bit of authority, a bit of speed, and a bit of pop, but at the same time, there are different versions of the jab. You can use the jab going backwards for defense. It's probably more beneficial using it going forwards, but you can, if you need to, on the back foot, pump that jab twice, buy yourself a bit of time, move, bam, bam. It can be used to turn your opponent, so you can get a different angle. If you're going at an angle and you're double jabbing, you're turning your opponent into your right hand. That can be a great tactic to use it. There's many different variations of the double jab, but there is a classic version which is just bam, bam. And we're going to talk about the technique right now. Okay, how to throw it. Okay, hands on chin, elbows on the rib cage. Now, when you throw a single jab, you want to shoot it from there, turn the punch over a little bit. And when you throw two, you do that, and then you bring the jab back almost halfway, and push it again. Okay, so it's bam, bam. Whilst going forward, you can spring off the back foot. It should be a good hard shot, the classic version of it, or the traditional double jab. There's many variations. I'm going to get into that in a second, but this one, boom, boom. So it's important that when you push the jab here, obviously you've got your hand on your chin here, and then when it comes back, you're here, and then you push it again, okay? So it's bam, bam. You want to push it forward, blinding your opponent, pushing them back, creating opportunities for the other punches, and being the dominant fighter, creating real estate. That's a good way to start. There are a few variations of the double jab. I just went over the classic version, but there are several ways to throw it. You can, I've already touched on it a little bit. You can do a couple of decoy shots, bam, bam, boom, and then bring in whatever power shot. If you're a southpaw, boom. You know, you're blinding your opponent quickly. You're closing the distance. You're creating an attack. And by doing that, you need a little bit of a diversion sometimes. So a decoy double jab, bam, bam, boom. Manny Pacquiao does that brilliantly. Go and watch some of his fights or some of his knockouts and you'll see that he's not even throwing it. Tyson Fury does it really well too. Boom, boom, bam. you can go to the stomach and then go to the head. And then go to the head and go to the stomach and then come back up top. You're constantly trying to fool your opponent and trick them and keep them guessing. There's lots of different ways to throw the double jab. It's a very useful tool. Another way you can throw it, if you keep your head off the center line and you're coming forward, this really only works against another orthodox. It doesn't really work against the southpaw. You take your head off the center line and you kind of throw in a corkscrew jab. So the punch is coming through here, center line there, bam. So you're coming in like that. Slightly unorthodox way of doing it, but bam, bam. Another double jab, boom, to the chest, bam, bam, bam. Mixing it up, down, up, chest, feint, decoy, stiff. You know, there's different ways of throwing it and they all have a different outcome. Some classic mistakes that are made are this. When the jab comes out and it's like this. Okay, there's no real shoulder movement and there's no real forcing it forward. It's this, and that's not going to do any damage unless you're trying to throw it as a decoy, and that's deliberate. But that is not good. You want that. You get more of the arm, more of the shoulder, more of the hips. You're pushing off the back foot. You get more power. You get more control. All right, that's it for this week. We went over the double jab. Thank you for tuning in. Much appreciated. If you like the video, hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Have a great week, and I will see you next time. Boxing on the Edge.